Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, Dominic. A whopper of a Wednesday, the first day of summer, our favorite season. How you doing, little buddy?
I'm fantastic, Crudy. Happy summer solstice to you, Evan, working so hard on the board and the sound and the calls. Our fair audience, always join us, 844-967-2789. Happy summer solstice.
Dominic, we've got lots to talk about today. Justice Samuel Alito has got a little disclosure issue. Why is it these Supreme Court justices never feel like we should know that some rich guy took him on vacation?
I mean, the seat was going to be empty if he didn't take it, Crudy. I mean, why let something go to waste? He's actually doing everybody a favor by, conserving.
And we've got a little bit of an appetizer for you conservatives out there. Hour number 2, the happier happy hour. We're going to get to the John Durham testimony.
Oh,
I would be concerned about wrecking Gary's appetite for dinner or CJ's, but it is something of a nothing burger. Not so filling. I think you'll be okay for dinner. Also, Dom, a little closer to home, a federal judge has ruled Enbridge busted in line 5. Not now, but like in 3 years. And we'll get there very, very soon. But the lead, sir, to my opinion, World Naked Bike Ride coming to Milwaukee.
I didn't even know this was a thing.
I had to break this news to you. And Dom, it's about fighting climate change and nudism, 2 of your favorite topics.
I mean, they just go so well together.
What you should know about the Naked Bike Ride, World Naked Bike Ride. So if you want to ride yours naked, do so. Dom, before we started, we were quizzing each other about some of our favored summer memories.
Yes,
and
summertime.
The lovely and talented Kelsey graduated like a decade ago at this time. And we were at the nitty gritty. She graduated Memorial High School. We live in Middleton, but she had finished her last 2 years at Memorial, graduated there at the Kohl Center. And we went to the nitty gritty, and I'm at the table with the in-laws and my daughter and my son, who's a little shaver at the time. And he had big eyes, but his eyes got really big. And he points behind me, and I'm sitting with my back to University Avenue. And he says, "Dad, look." And I turn around to look, and there was naked people as far as the eye could see. And they were riding by on bikes. And my mother-in-law, like, then she got knifeful. I'm just saying, she was stealing up all the vantage points. I don't know if she thought she was shielding the younger viewers or if she was just trying to get knifeful. I think it's that. But anyways, Dom, the most important issue of the day, first day of summer, what you need to know about the World Naked Bike Ride in Milwaukee. And I suspect in Madison and perhaps in your neighborhood, if you get on the bike, buck naked. Want to fight climate change this weekend? Bike naked.
Woohoo!
Dominic, on Saturday, Milwaukeeans will witness the 3rd annual World Naked Bike Ride. And here's the naked truth. Why are people biking naked? And what is the World Naked Bike Ride? The first recorded naked bike ride was in 2001 in Spain. 2 years later, Conrad Schmidt conceived the World Naked Bike Ride to protest oil dependence and celebrate the human body. The popularity of the event rose quickly from 28 bike rides across the globe in 2004 to 74 in 2010. Now, that must have been the year that Kelsey graduated. And with the informal slogan, less gas, more ass, it's their informal slogan. Ours is ass, grass, or cash. Nobody rides for free. Organizers hope that it is a shock factor of laying it all bare helps drive home the negative effects of climate change and fossil fuels. The event also demonstrates the importance of pedestrian visibility and the need for safe biking and pedestrian pathways in urban spaces.
Oh,
The event
yes.
is intended to help people to shed their inhibitions. You usually use tequila for that, Tom, and celebrate their bodies every inch. Participants do not have to be naked and only have to take off as much clothing as they're comfortable with. Oh, I hope you wear that banana thong, Tom.
Yeah.
While the event has layers, the people won't. And where is the naked bike ride? Don't tell Dom, but don't want to be greeted by folks in their birthday suits on their route. Organizers traditionally keep this part of the event private until a few days before the race, but the route was uploaded to the event's website today. Bikers will start at the Concertina Beer Hall. I don't know. Kochanski's? Kochanski's?
Sure.
I was happy that I knew Concertina Beer Hall, where they will be greeted by 5 bands, 20 vendors, food trucks, and body painters. Riders will then head east on Durham Ave, making their way into Water and Brady Streets down the Dakota.
Nice.
You're on Brady Street now. Looping through the Veterans Park before returning to the beer hall. And thankfully, the race won't bring a whole new meaning to the crack of dawn. Ha 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 ha. As it's scheduled to begin at 4 p.m., Dom. Oh no. Are we going to miss it?
Rudy, since the inaugural ride in 2021, organizers estimate roughly 200 Milwaukeeans have risen to the occasion and have participated. Event organizer John Kankowski told the Journal Sentinel he hopes to break Madison's record of 197 participants from last week's revealing ride. According to him, people are coming in from Florida, Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa, and Pennsylvania. Portland has the largest bike race with an estimated 10,000 participants. And what if you don't have a bike? Well, you don't have to be a bare bicyclist. You can be a threadbare tandemer, an unclothed unicyclist, or a stripped skateboarder, or a revealed runner. Or you could just rent a bike with no cars. Is it free? How do I register? Yes, it's free. Liberating one may even say, while organizers understand it might be a little difficult to keep cash or card on you during the event, they appreciate any donations. Maybe give the donation before you get naked on the bike.
I got it right here in my G-string for you.
I got it. It's a credit card swiper. Is riding a bike naked legal? The ride is technically a First Amendment protest, so it is legal as long as riders do not participate in any lewd or untoward behavior. Police treat the bike ride as a protest, so bikers are on their own. There will be a follow car with medical support if needed. Alcohol and inappropriate behavior are banned at the event, so everyone can feel comfortable while biking through Milwaukee with the wind at their backs. Thank you, Journal Sentinel. Yash Roy reporting the wind at their backs and between their legs, apparently. Now, I gotta tell you, I'm a little
in its 13th year.
Wow. The Tour of America's
how to do naked here in
bike
Madison.
races, the actual bike races, like professionals on bikes going really fast in an urban area on Downer Street, specifically by Hollander Cafe, is also on Saturday. So this is going to be tough.
Do you think they'll join the field?
I hope they stay away, man. You ever see those folks going super fast? I mean, inches away from each other, wiping out. It's a brutal sport.
Yes, like in Tour de France kind of stuff,
Yeah,
like
that
on
kind of
TV,
stuff, yes.
not up close and personal. But what is the 24-hour bike ride? Downers? Is
River West. That's River West 24 bike ride. And
that is something entirely different, is it not?
Yes, that is also entirely different. Yes, you get teams and they literally bike around River West. This is I think Friday, day before Brady Street Fest on Saturday. Yeah, the River West 24. It's people get teams, they camp out on the lawns and they party for what? Days.
It's like, but there's some cosplay going on there too, isn't there? There's like
I mean,
strange and unusual outfits.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, if you're partying riding a bike for 24 hours in hour increments, yeah, it can get a little crazy.
I would ride a crazy Lenny e-bike.
Not really riding then, Crudy. It's more like riding.
If I'm going to be naked, man, I don't want to get caught any of the parts in the chain.
You might want to, burn a few calories to get a little skinnier while you're on the bike, man.
Yeah, I'm down a few pounds. You back up.
Yeah.
Look who's talking, Mr.
Oh, come on. It's already been a rough summer, man. So there you go. Naked bike race in Milwaukee. If you're so inclined, check it out. If you want to see real bike races, go to Downer. But lots of things, man. I mean, first day of summer here in Wisconsin, it is just amazing. It is amazing. This is where the world wants to be this time of year. Summer solstice right here. It is awesome. And there's always stuff to do, like the naked bike race.
Dominic, we're going to talk about the federal judge's ruling on the shutdown of Line 5. Let's not forget, part of the reason they go out there and they bike naked, it's to raise awareness of climate change. It's getting a little hot out there, so off all your clothes if necessary. And also, on this big show, you can participate, 844-967-2789. Nakedness, always encouraged. But here's what I would say, Dom. What's your favorite summer memory? Favorite, you got to pick one. Like best. Come on.
I mean, it's easy. All right. Fair enough.
Summer memory.
Best summer memory. Meeting my lovely wife Stephanie on a picnic table at Summerfest. Best summer memory ever. Love you, baby.
Where was I that night?
I was with Zach. I don't know where you were that night. Zach was in town, so yeah.
Partying without me.
Yeah, man. That'll happen. Well, what about you, man? Best summer memory?
I'm sure it's something to do with my birthday and not one of your summer loving parties. I'll have to think a little harder. Come back with us. Think a little hard. What was your best summer memory? And we'll talk about it. Line 5 and a federal judge shutting it down, but not yet. Not before it can have disastrous outcomes. 844-96-PARTY.
Hey, honey! Hey!
What the hell are you doing?
We're streaking!
I'm in the middle of a big bike race.
To see a young person be that proud to catch something that big and to show it off, that's what makes us want to keep coming back.
All right, what do you need?
Okay, so Kristen did a video about the Republicans who took the child care provision at the middle of the night. And what I was thinking is that you go through, you stitch this so it's like a filter that shows just your face and a picture behind it. And you say, if you're, like something tells me, there's a reason why these people didn't get that close to having children.
Yeah. All right. That's it.
So if you want to grab the phone and be like, oh, here, let me just report it for you. I got a couple posts here, but otherwise it looks weird. I'm going to record the first couple sentences. And then if you want to say something along those lines.
Are we going right now?
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh, all right, wait. The point is to. I have 30 seconds. I can't do it.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Let me ponder. So, a point, you want to stay on them cutting school funding, right? Or
childcare.
The child care funding. That's the point.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll come up with something. And it's got to be how long? 10 seconds? 2 seconds? How many? Two? Oh, man. Okay. 'Cause- check. Need some sound.
When they go low, we get high. The Devil's Advocates.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Join us on the lines 844-967-2789. Little Van Halen, man. OU 812. Summer Nights and My Radio. Thank you for joining us.
Dominic, an unannounced late ask. Host of Native Roots Radio, our friend Robert Pilot. I've asked him to join us today. Robert joins us right now live via phone. Robert Pilot, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Robert.
Hey, doing great. Great to see you guys. It was good seeing you Civic Media a couple weekends ago at the convention, the Wisconsin State Convention, Democratic Convention, and Pinagigi for having me on today.
Well, appreciate you coming. And your show now starts earlier, and that's why we don't play out at KTNF in part. But you're at 5 o'clock, so we appreciate you coming on before your fine show. But a federal judge, Conley, has ruled Enbridge's Line 5, which I believe it's the Bad River Tribe, Bad River Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, on Monday, welcomed the federal ruling, which said effectively Enbridge is trespassing on their land, and they must end this practice. Robert, this has been an issue covered often by you and your team. What was your opinion of the ruling, and what's been the reaction?
Well, it's a good start. You know, here in Minnesota, we had Enbridge Line 3, which went through these pipelines. Enbridge has an unbelievable history of pipeline catastrophes of leaking oil. And here in Minnesota, too, up in the deep north, in the beginning of the Mississippi, they encroached Line 3 here in Minnesota, and there was frackouts all over, and there's vegetation and things that aren't even growing now. And at one time, as soon as late as 2 years ago, you could drink that water up in the beginning of the Mississippi. So to fight Enbridge and to have this victory is an amazing thing, and onward, Wisconsin.
But it's not an immediate victory, Robert. Conley did delay the sort of forced termination, and this is a pipeline running like 20,000 barrels or gallons a day. It's a lot of oil and liquefied gas that's running through this. But Enbridge has 3 years, and in the meantime, there could be a catastrophic spill, something like, let's say, they saw in Kalamazoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. There's 500,000 barrels that go through that line all the way from the Great Lakes, and it's let's get off these fossil fuels. And so we here in Minnesota have been fighting it. I have guests from Michigan that are still fighting this. With the water levels down on Lake Superior, there's nothing but catastrophe ahead of us, because these pipes are not sturdy or steady, and they've been around since 1953. And I got to remind everyone too, this is a foreign business that's here polluting the United States. And if you care about clean water and being a sovereign country, and we're a sovereign nation as Native Americans, you have to be really concerned with this.
Robert, I got to ask you, you talk about the sovereignty of the tribes, and these are tribal compacts, and they're being infringed upon by this oil company, sort of with impunity up until now. Do you envision there will be more lawsuits like this? And unfortunately, the damages finding or the finding right now is $5 million, and that seems entirely insufficient relative to what I suspect the profits Enbridge are running across tribal land every day without proper permit or legal permissions. But Robert, what do you think's next in this fight, in this cause?
Well, more lawsuits to go that direction, but also I feel like people are really engaged with fighting this with their bodies. Like our radio show, Native Roots Radio, started because of Standing Rock and the pipeline that was going across that reservation in the Dakotas, and so there is still many people that are willing to put up a fight with these foreign businesses and oil companies.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We've got the host of Native Roots Radio. He is Robert Pilot. He goes live every day at 5, and they live stream it if you want to hear it here locally, but we also play it across the Civic Media Network each evening, 10 to 11 p.m. So have no fear. Robert does play out here. Dom, I know you were trying to get in here.
Yeah, Robert, great to talk to you again. Thank you for joining us. What's your sense of the $5.15 million in damages ordered by Connolly for Enbridge to pay the Bad River tribe? What's your sense of that number? I mean, this has been going on for years. They've been trespassing for 10 years. A super profitable, environmentally dangerous foreign petrochemical company has been getting a slide for 10 years and now gets another 3 before they actually have to address it. Robert, it doesn't seem like a lot to me. What are your thoughts?
I agree 100%. This is just a drop in the bucket for Enbridge. I know they were the highest people in the capital here in Minnesota. They spent $3 million easily on fighting this at our state capital for Line 3. It's a drop in the bucket for them. They're in the long haul. It's nothing. I mean, they've infiltrated our hockey tournaments, our basketball tournaments. We see Enbridge signs here in Minnesota, and it's sickening that they think that the community can be bought off, and they, as good neighbors, and history shows with all the frackouts we had in Minnesota, and also the catastrophic spills that the Enbridge has had in the last 10 years. Pipelines leak. That's all there's to it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it's not just my opinion. That's a fact. Look it up.
Robert, we know you got to get ready for your show. What's the lead tonight on Native Roots Radio?
Oh, we're talking to our friend Robert Blake from Solar Bear with the Solar News, and some great updates of what's happening around Indian country and across the United States with solar, and he will be one of our main guests today. And then, of course, we talk about what's going on news-wise, and we have Little Moments Count on today, too, who do really great work in Indian country with our little ones, because we all know education starts when you're very young, and that's what we're trying to promote here on Native Roots Radio.
And don't forget, you can find Native Roots across the Civic Media Network, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. That's not live. You can catch Robert and his team live each evening, 5 o'clock. Find them on the Facebooks, right? Where's the Facebook? Where's the social media?
Yeah, and YouTube, and then also in TuneIn. We're all over. And we're really grateful to be on the Civic Media Network.
Hey, buddy, you be well. Go Brewers. Don't we have a series coming up soon?
Thanks, Robert.
Easy.
We'll trash talk again soon, Robert. Be well. More Devil's Advocates. We'll be right back.
All right, do I do all of them or just pick one?
This is the last one. You already recorded your face. The other one.
No, I want the characters of the people behind. I want to go one specifically. I want to do Strobel. Yeah.
Okay. That's Voldemort, right?
Yeah, come on, man.
Okay. Well, then we got to do. I'm still in the silence. These guys.
That's the guy. Hey,
let me give you a countdown.
Hey, someone tell this guy, human children, they're not hatched, they're born. They need some love, baby.
Beautiful. Perfect. That's everything I need. Oh, actually, I'm so sorry. Could you quickly record that again? So, unless you want to hold it.
No, I'll hold it and hit the button when I'm ready to go. Hold the button. Hey, someone tell this guy, human children, they're born, not hatched. Give them some love.
Beautiful. Okay, that is everything I need today. We'll get out of here.
All right, man.
I think I might see you tomorrow then.
Yes, let's plan that. I mean, I don't know. I know
This was great though.
Where are you looking? What office do you normally work out of?
I usually do from home, but when I record, I usually go to the one in Madison because I live in Madison.
Okay, so that's your spot.
Right now, I'm out of my buddy's frat house, to my parents' place, whatever, to get some stuff in Milwaukee. Personally,
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, that'd be good if we could get to watch. And then at least we have, this stuff, and then some actual studio stuff. I know Madison should be opened up.
Oh, right. Well, the State Street studio. Yeah, it's so beautiful.
I was there last week. We could have done a show, but that old place was shutting down. Since shooting there.
Yeah. That's right. Previous to this.
All right. All right, check. Oh, hang on, don't hear you. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.
Insane out there. And every Wisconsin roller derby girl knows to be insanely good on the flat track, you can't be insanely drunk. And if you can't be drunk on those wheels, you'd be super insane to roll drunk on your car's wheels. So take it from Wisconsin's best jammers, blockers, and pivots. When it comes to driving,
drive sober on the road, no matter how many wheels you roll.
Because you can't lap the pack with an OWI riding your back. So ladies and guys, drive sober or get pulled over. And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways. Download the free Drive Sober app with a Find the Ride feature, awesome videos, and more.
The big and tall of political talk. The Devil's Advocates.
Town, summer in the city, back of my neck getting dirt and gritty. Bend down, isn't it a pity? Doesn't seem to be a shadow in the city.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, a Whopper of a Wednesday show. Thank you to our late arrival, but, I appreciate him joining with very short notice. That's how I book him. Robert Pilot, our good friend from Native Roots Radio, plays out live on KTNF at 5 Central Time. But if you're busy listening to the Devil's Advocates, we play it out each evening, 10 to 11 p.m., all across the Civic Media Network. Appreciate Robert joining us. A couple of the quick headlines or reporting of the Line 5 shutdown order for the sake of our audience. I'm not everyone as familiar with this story. And the reaction to the judge's order. Leaders of the Bad River Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, on Monday, and Dom, I'm using the Wisconsin Examiner here as my source, welcomed a federal judge's order to Enbridge Energy Company to shut down its Line 5 in northern Wisconsin, but criticized the order's 3-year timeline. Enbridge given 3 years to clean up their trespass.
That's already 10 years old.
I do not forgive those that trespass against us now. Here's the quote. The band appreciates the court putting an end to Enbridge's flagrant trespass in disregard of our rights, according to Mike Wiggins, chairman of the Bad River Band, in a statement the tribe released on Monday. Tribal sovereignty prevailed over corporate profits. That's sometimes rare. Ruling in Madison on Friday, U.S. District Judge William Conley reaffirmed his September 22 ruling upholding the tribe's claim that Enbridge has been trespassing on its land for the last 10 years. Conley ordered the company to shut down Line 5 within 3 years and pay more than $5 million in profits to the Bad River Band. The tribe sued Enbridge in 2019 for continuing to operate the pipeline after an agreement expired in June of 2013. Talking about some holdover tenants. The energy company, an easement where 12 miles of pipeline passes through tribal land. And while expressing appreciation for the ruling, Wiggins called it just one step in protecting our people and water, and predicted the legal dispute would continue. We are under no illusion that Enbridge will do the right thing, he stated. We expect them to fight this order with all of their corporate might.
Prudy, in his Friday ruling, Connolly stated that while the risk of pipeline rupture is not immediate, evidence from flooding events this spring and subsequent erosion made the prospect of a rupture, quote, a real and unreasonable risk for the next 5 years. So what? Now you got 3 years? The 60-foot wide Line 5, 60 feet wide Line 5 runs from far northwest Wisconsin, 645 miles into Michigan's UP, under the Straits of Mackinac and out into Canada near Detroit, transports about 23 million gallons of crude oil and natural gas liquids daily. The pipeline is currently underground, where it passes near a bend in the Bad Rivers on the tribe's reservation. While Line 5 remains buried and well supported, more than 6 feet underground at the bend or meander, flooding this spring and subsequent erosion pointed to the risk that the line could be exposed and rupture, contaminating the local watershed, a judge noted in his order. The band's attorney, Eric Arnold, said in a statement that while the ruling was encouraging, the band disagreed with the elements of the court order. Instead of ordering the line to be shut down promptly, quote, the 3-year timeline leaves the Bad River vulnerable to catastrophe, and there's no warrant for allowing Enbridge trespass to continue for that long. I mean, maybe just tap the vein, get yourself a couple field trucks, man. You know what I'm saying? It's on your land. Maybe Enbridge would react a little bit more then. You gotta be kidding me. 13 years of trespass? Talk about squatting. Back to the article. Arnold said that the band was also dissatisfied with the amount of the award. Hell yeah. Connolly's latest order noted that he had previously ruled the band was not entitled to an award of all of Enbridge's profit earned during the period of trespass by operation of the pipeline as a whole. Arnold said that the band's motivations have never been about money, but called the judge's $5 million award to the tribe, quote, such a small award for a decade-long trespass during which Enbridge earned over $1 billion in net profits from Line 5, and that it will not sufficiently deter trespassers like Enbridge, but will instead create an incentive for corporations to violate the sovereignty of the band.
You know, I was never good with the decimal place, but $1 billion is $1,000 million, and they were ordered to pay $5 billion of the $1,000 million in profit generated, net profit generated on just the one trespassing line. I don't know where the decimal point goes, but that ain't 5%. That's less than half, or exactly half of 1%. Correct, Dom? If the $1 billion figure is
I don't do math on the radio. Sure.
Yeah, half of 1%.
Come on, man.
Half of 1% of their
what kind of punishment is that?
You know, I robbed a bank, but I got to give half of 1% back. Oh, that's a steep fine. Conley, I always like Conley too. Federal Judge Conley. I've always found him to be very fair, but you know, maybe you should be a little more brutal in this one, Conley.
Isaiah Holmes and Eric Gunn reporting at the Wisconsin Examiner. Just a little bit more here. Meanwhile, Monday, after the judge's decision, construction unions called on the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources to move forward on authorizing a project to move Line 5. Judge Connolly's decision affirms the Line 5 relocation project and efforts to move permitting forward are more important than ever, said Emily Pritzkow, Executive Director, Wisconsin Building Trades Council, consisting of 15 construction-related labor unions. We hope this ruling serves as a catalyst for the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources to advance the permitting process for this project, which has been pending for over 3 years. Environmental advocates, however, have not embraced simply moving the line off the Bad River Band's land as a solution. Neither the band nor its allies want the pipeline anywhere in the Bad River watershed, arguing that if it crosses the Bad River anywhere, it could still damage the ecosystem, even if it's routed around the reservation. While they have been focused on removing the pipeline from tribal land, opponents have viewed the pipeline itself as a danger, both for risking contamination and for continuing fossil fuel dependency. Wow. Made $1 billion off that line. That's not a bad work. You can get it.
I want to go use your land, make $1 billion, and then pay $5 million in fines, because I'd do it every time. I mean, really, against the overall profitability of this malfeasance, the incentive is far too great for a profit-driven corporation beholden to the stockholders, right? Wow. 844-967-2789. Who's your Bob? Bob, how you doing? Happy summer, brother.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, thank you, boys. Happy summer to y'all. Now, guys, I'm sure you know by now that I'm an older guy. And, you know, my health is not what it used to be. So when I heard you, or what I thought I heard, was you inviting CJ to call up while he was naked.
Well, any of us, really. Are you naked now? Who's your Bob?
Well, I don't care about anybody. Please, I can't imagine CJ naked. That hurts my heart, man.
It would hurt your eyes even worse, who's your Bob, and probably scar your brain forever.
I just had the eyes fixed, man. Don't know.
Let's go.
Wish you could reverse the stigmatisms, do you? How do you think Mrs. CJ must feel?
Well, hopefully her eyes are as bad as mine were.
If they weren't, I'm sure they are now. Who's your Bob? Any political thoughts, sir?
Oh, God, I'm just so hungry. I'm trying to give it a break. I'm concentrating on those 4 or 5 dead people in that sardine can over by the Titanic.
Let's not put it out there in the world that they're dead. Last time I heard, they had, and obviously this is a very perilous situation. These tourists in a submarine down to the Titanic find themselves in, but let's not presume they're dead. Last I heard, last news report, they had up to 24 hours of oxygen left, and they had heard knocking. And while the chances may be very slim, man, you know, that's what you make Hallmark movies out of, the miracles. So, Bob, let's hope for a miracle.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the actual salvage operation to get them up. Man, you got to drop 2 miles of steel cable down and then tow it back up. That's going to take time.
Yeah, you're not going to have any divers down there doing that sort of work, Bob. I heard there was more pressure at that depth than being underneath a lead building the size of the Empire State Building.
Wow.
And to think people paid for that experience. Not this cat.
You know, Curdy, that's not your adventure, man.
I don't even like to fly. You know, I don't even like an airplane.
I got snorkel, scuba. I mean,
you've heard the story of me on my honeymoon, right? In the diving submarine, and it was diesel, and I'd been doing rum runners with breakfast. And the poor woman from Missouri, I showed her. You remember that story?
Remind me, man. I don't know.
I drank rum runners early in the morning.
I got
Last
that.
day of my honeymoon. My wife had scheduled this trip in a diesel-powered submarine. First, we went across the harbor. It's Cancun or somewhere down in Mexico. And the smell of diesel fumes is enough to make me sick. And then the motion of the ocean. And then we get in the submarine, and I got the rum runners on the belly. And I'm turning green, and my wife is sitting next to me, and we're literally packed in like 15 rows of people, four in a row, you know, just packed in. And it's a little warm and sweaty in there, you know, it's just the closeness of the people. And I'm turning green, the literal color green. And I put my face on the window, like just trying to grab some cool off that window, right? And I'm holding it together, and I'm holding it together. And then they get this bright idea. They're just going to turn off the sub and let it float. So some little senorita can swim like Ariel, the mermaid, underneath.
Yeah.
And she's swimming underneath. And this poor woman from Missouri sitting stoically as I'm showing her all my rum runners, everything I had for dinner last night.
Oh, dude, it's terrible.
I think perhaps my soul came out at the moment, and she sat there stoically through all of it. And it did not turn into that contest at the pie eating contest. Stand By Me, when the kid's telling the story about the guy that eats the pies and does whatever. You know, you could see the whole submarine could very well have
joined in. Yes.
And me and this poor woman sat on the back of this diesel tugboat on the way back because no one else wanted to really be associated with us, including our respective spouses. It was me and her, and you know, and I'm relatively.
No, I feel good now.
But she is quite soiled.
Oh no!
Where are you from? And she said, Missouri. I said, showed you. And I bought her a $28 tourist T-shirt.
Oh no!
And I wished her have a nice trip. And haven't been back on a submarine of any.
No. So okay. Well, I
certainly haven't
note to
paid
self,
yet.
if you do decide to go on a submarine, I do not want to go with you.
Not Crudy.
No.
At least bring the Dramamine. You know, some motion sickness. Less rum, more Dramamine. You would drink tequila. I know you, man. I'd smell your breath. And
oh man, I like the
tequila
motion,
breath,
man. I like that being underwater. I'm not a big scuba, but certainly like the snorkeling, man. I mean, yeah, it's amazing.
But
I mean, go down.
You're up aspiring to have a water bed or something.
10, 20 feet, you can feel the pressure in your ears. I can't imagine what it's like miles down.
I will never have to experience that, Tom. Certainly I would not pay for that experience. Be lucky to get me in an airplane. Anyways, let's pray if you do such things for a miracle. Hopefully those people survive. Come back with us. Your phone calls could be next. It's summer in the city and everywhere else. 844-96-72789.
Brad from Zero Res Madison here. What's the best way to clean your carpet? Well, not surprisingly, it's the same way you clean your clothes. You wouldn't clean a dirt shirt by running a white cloth over the top of it, nor would you try to get it clean by sprinkling chemicals and rubbing it in. For a real clean, you need hot water, agitation, and a cleaning agent, just like laundry. For fresh, healthy clean with no residue, call Zero Res Madison or schedule online. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, is the right way to clean.
Larry, it's your mom. Did you know the Civic Media Network covers the whole state of Wisconsin? They can help your business get the word out, whether you want to reach a smidge of folks or just want the whole kit and caboodle. Call 608-819-8255. Okay then, bye.
Madison Computer Works knows using computers is more dangerous than ever. Scammers try to scare you and steal your information or money. Emails try to phish your login and password. Online pop-ups and messages try to trick you, telling you there's something wrong with your computer, even when there's not. Madison Computer Works can protect you from these threats. Our computer care plans help stop the scammers and fix your computer problems. Call 608-231-8000 for the computer support you deserve. Madison Computer Works, computers that work for you.
Continue the conversation online. Find and follow Civic Media on Facebook and on Twitter.
Here's your Mad Radio forecast. Clear skies tonight with lows around 61. East winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Sunny skies and calm again tomorrow. Highs level off around 88. Lows dip down to about 59. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Friday with daytime highs approaching 88. 92 Saturday. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 88 degrees.
This summer, Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX has a new starting lineup. 4 to 6, The Devil's Advocates with Tom and Cruz. Then at 6, The Maggie Dawn Show on Mad Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Join us on the lines, 844-967-2789. Of course, make sure you check out the new super cool Civic Media app. It is brand new and it is sweet. You can just download it, click on your favorite channel, hit the text button, and boom, it pops up. We can see it. Like one of these texts from Madison. Here's a quote from a listener. Thank you for this. Almost like we shouldn't be, we'll call it, messing around in submersible vessels on the ocean floor when we don't have the tech to rescue them if it goes sideways. But hey, let the mega rich do whatever they want and let us working stiffs and military folks bust our ass and risk our lives to clean up the mess like usual. Gotta love this late stage capitalism.
Dom, I prefer this text from the 608. We're all naked under our clothes. Send your keen insights on the Civic Media app. You know, we were talking about the naked bike ride for those that joined a little bit late. 844-967-2789. A whopper of a Wednesday. Phil, what's your contribution? Calling in from Minneapolis. Welcome, Phil.
Hey, Phil.
My feeling, hi. You guys are doing a great job today, as usual. But concerning the fine for Enbridge on is it line 5? They're going to have to relocate, but they have to close it down first. Going through is it line 3 or line 5 in your state?
We're line 5 here, and Enbridge was ordered to move line 5 within 3 years. Yeah. Although they've been trespassing for 10.
Trespassing for 10.
Right.
Yeah, this fine should be based the way many countries in Europe fine speeders based on their income.
Yeah.
So when a rich person drives his expensive Italian or German sports car and exceeds any reasonable idea of a safe speed and gets pulled over, and let's say doing 125 in a preferred 60 zone, it's not like an average person getting a $200 or $300 fine, which is a dent. No, if you're making a couple $100,000, it should be a real dent. There was one guy who lost his $125,000 sports car because he was doing 150 in like.
Well, maybe you should have. That's reckless driving. But Phil, you live in.
Oh, but being a reckless capitalist doesn't count. I mean, you knew when they put that line in, it was going to be dangerous. They knew they were doing it. You know, they were spreading money around. They were getting totally unreasonably favorable rulings. And when it finally comes down to being told, you guys got to move this, you didn't have the right permissions, you didn't file the right permits, you didn't do the right environmental studies, it's all baloney, you've got to pull it out of here. The fine should be like, I would say like 15 or 20% of what they made from that line.
How about 100%? That would be.
I mean, and here's the thing, for real. I mean, I know this is, you know, it would be cause lots of issues and be dangerous, Phil. But if I may, if you literally tap the line, I mean, if something's in your property, that's kind of yours, right? And you had an agreement, and then they broke the agreement or didn't renew it, whatever the case was. Well, that's kind of your, you know, if it's in your property, kind of 9/10 of the law, right? Pass it along, just tap that line. I mean, if they tapped it and kept it, they'd have made all that money for the last 10 years. $1 billion. Is that $10 billion if we annualize it over 10 years?
Had to have had infrastructure. The tribe would have had to have built infrastructure to be able to tap that pressurized line to get that oil out and then take it somewhere else to have it refined.
Sure, no doubt.
It would have been a mini industry.
Right, in of itself, right?
It would just be confiscatory enough that they never want to do a line in a place where they know they're not going to get permission. So if you do a line and you know you basically bribed your way into that position and you get ruled on later that says you've stolen this, you got to take it out of here. I'd say 50% of what they made would be a good line, a good amount.
Your partners in the endeavor for the time that you were there. I think that's a fair number, 50%.
Yeah. I mean, it would sting enough that they'd think, well, maybe we don't want to give up half our profit.
Phil, you got an incredibly good idea in most regards. But you talk about the speeding and the rich people being fined more. But you, Phil, live in Minneapolis, and those of us that have ever traveled to Green Bay, Wisconsin, have to pass through Rosendale in all likelihood. And you could be pushing a car through Rosendale and you'd get pulled over and get a ticket. I've heard rumor. You could push a car through Rosendale too fast to get a ticket. Bicyclist get speeding tickets in Rosendale. I saw a turtle get one once.
Oh, come on, man.
844-967-2789. Dom, what are we talking about in hour 2? It's coming soon.
It is, and make sure you stick around for it. Of course, we got to get to it. John Durham, the Durham Report, the investigator of the investigators. He testified today, and we have some sound of it. And honestly, it's everything I expected it to be.
So a nothing burger? A whole lot of nothing going on.
It was reiterated time and again. Jerry Nadler, Zoe Lofgren, I forget her pronounce her last. Yeah, Lofgren, thank you. Adam Schiff, lots of people taking a piece of Durham. And it's amazing because, of course, this is the investigation.
This is a House committee run by the Republicans, but like the House committees, like the impeachment going through the House, they alternate. They do the Republicans who fluff it. Let me fluff it up for you, sir.
Yes, sir.
And then they have the Democrats. The Democrats actually get to respond in real time, ask their own questions. And so many of the impeachment managers are in the room. Right. The accusation is there was no founded rationale for the Russia investigation of collusion. You know, Donald Trump, poor man is a victim here.
Yes, aren't they always? When are rich white men in America gonna catch a break?
Well, when they stop coordinating their campaigns with foreign powers. I mean, he literally went on the stump and said, Russia, if you're listening, release the 35,000 emails or whatever it was, the Hillary Clinton emails, right?
Yes.
What did they do the very next day? They were endeavoring to release emails.
Yes, hacking.
It's almost like they were listening. I mean, you couldn't have coordinated any better unless you were Scott Walker using a coordinated illegal super PAC and, you know, your primary campaign. But, you know, no one so far has proven Scott Walker did that with a foreign power, but I think Donald Trump perhaps did. Well, and Durham was there to knock all those accusations down, right?
Well, you know, Durham has a report. I heard it described as an HR report. And much like the Inspector General Horowitz or the Senate Intelligence Committee, they've acted on some of those administrative type of things. But as far as the investigation, as far as how it started, as far as what should it even have started? I mean, Durham says yes. We're going to play Durham. We're going to hear what Durham says under oath as he testifies in this committee.
The way Fox News Digital is reporting it, just the opposite. Durham claims, according to Fox News Digital, there was no justification for the beginning of the Trump investigation or the Mueller report. Seems like they
have the sound. We'll let our audience decide. Stick around. More Devil's Advocates, 844-967-2789.
Slattery of Slattery's Automotive Service and
me and my baby did it 69.
Find out what's going on in the world, the state, and in your own backyard. This is a Civic Media Network News Update.
It's 5 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Terry Bell, and here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Once again, Wisconsin finds itself under an air quality advisory. Brittany Merlot reports.
An air quality advisory for ozone has been issued and is active now until Friday night for the entire state of Wisconsin. Due to the excess heat and sunlight, combined with the presence of aged Canadian wildfire smoke, it has led to enhanced surface ozone. Peak concentrations usually occur during afternoon hours, when sunlight is most intense. When inhaled, it reacts chemically with many biological molecules in the respiratory tract, leading to a number of health effects. It is currently at an unhealthy for sensitive groups level, with potential spikes into unhealthy for all levels. Reduce your time outdoors and consider avoiding intense outdoor workouts. The ozone layer usually sits approximately 6 to 30 miles above the Earth's surface, but when brought to the ground, it poses hazards and makes the sky appear hazy. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot, Civic Media News.
A bill to make phonics the new model for teaching reading to third graders in Wisconsin is moving forward after passing the assembly this afternoon. Students who don't pass a reading test would have to take it again. Republican Amanda Nedweski represents Pleasant Prairie.
Simply pushing students forward who have not achieved proficiency has proven to set kids up for failure in later life. A student who cannot read in third grade is more likely to drop out of high school. A high school dropout is more likely to become incarcerated or become dependent on state assistance.
The bill now goes to the Senate. Democrats say the bill doesn't serve all kids well. Governor Evers vetoed a similar bill last year, and he says he'd veto this one. The Assembly is also sending a bill to the Senate to let pharmacists prescribe birth control. Also tonight, the lower house is expected to vote on a bill to move technical colleges from the property tax to the state budget, and another bill to overhaul regulations for Wisconsin's alcohol industry. Both major political parties plan to go after young voters next year. Luke Mathers reports.
Young voters have been breaking turnout records in recent elections. Jake Williams is with College Democrats of Wisconsin. He says that's because young voters are paying attention to what older officials are doing.
Whether we're talking about environmental pollution, whether we're talking about healthcare rights or human rights, regarding to trans rights, youth are seeing kind of an assault across the board.
Lane Witten of the Wisconsin Federation of College Republicans says they can't be ignored.
Soon the 18 to 29 will outnumber the higher voter demographic.
Williams and Witten spoke with the Wisconsin Eye Public Affairs Network. Luke Mathers, Civic Media News.
A second teenager is detained after Monday's mass shooting at Milwaukee's Juneteenth celebration. One is 17, the other 19. Prosecutors aren't saying anything yet about criminal charges. That's what Wisconsin needs to know. I'm Terry Bell.
It's the Bucs' new head coach, Adrian Griffin. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. First day of summer, Whopper of a Wednesday, happy hour. Welcome to it, little buddy.
Happy summer solstice, Crute. Great to be with you this happy hour. Evan, working the board. Our audience, join us. 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I can't wait. I'm chomping at the bit to get to the ethical improprieties of Justice Samuel Alito. But I feel like if we don't start with the Durham, we're going to get chastised by our conservative friends. I mean, live testimony. This ProPublica report can wait for a little bit longer. I mean, hell, Alito already got out there and preempted it with a op-ed to an rival news outlet.
Isn't that how all U.S. Supreme Court's justices react to criticism to coming down the pike to what? An op-ed, not a press release from your office, Justice?
How about a response to the journalist, which he did not do either? He preemptively published an op-ed, but we'll get to that.
That's coming.
Let's, and I can't believe we're letting the conservatives dictate how we start hour number 2, Dom. But let's get to it. Durham.
No. We're deciding this.
Are we?
We are. We can do whatever we want. We don't bend under pressure, but I think we should put this thing to bed.
Well, okay. So John Durham, who was appointed while Trump was the president, right?
Yes.
Under Bill Barr, a special counsel appointed. And he's been working for 4 freaking years.
4 years.
And he's investigating the genesis of the Russian investigation. And if we've accurately reported here on the show, and I know we have, Dom, one kind of conviction, one guy pled out.
No, and that guy who pled out, and that was articulated today, that guy that pled out was actually found by Inspector General Horowitz. That was handed to Durham. Durham got one handed to him where the guy pled and lost 2 cases.
What great findings. So other than that, other than the actual, outcome, the output of the work product, right? I don't mean his opinion on a piece of paper. I mean the convictions in a court of law, supported by evidence. Where are those? I'd like to hear him testify about his utter failure and preposterous report, Dom. And, depending on what side of the congressional aisle, I think they had differing opinions of the testimony of Durham. But as mentioned in hour number 1, Dom, there are a lot of the House impeachment managers in the room. People like, Nadler and Adam Schiff. And let's start with Adam Schiff. He asked a series of questions, right? Question the witness, the Durham. And Adam Schiff, this is a guy that's faced a little pressure from across the aisle. And what was the accusation against Schiff? He weaponized the Congress effectively against Donald Trump and put out false premise that Trump was somehow colluding with Russia. And of course, that's all been disproven, or so they say.
So they say. They say lots of things, those they people.
Well, Fox News, as mentioned, is reporting the exact opposite of the truth right now about what Durham has actually testified to. So let's start with Adam Schiff. Didn't Donald Trump plead for Russian help? I kind of remember that. Play cut number 1, if you would, E-Bone.
I thank you for yielding. One of my colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle took issue with my saying that the Trump campaign invited Russian help, received Russian help, made use of it, and then lied about it. So let's break this down. Let's go to invited Russian help. Mr. Durham, you're aware of Donald Trump's public statements along the lines of, hey, Russia, if you're listening, hack Hillary's emails, you'll be richly rewarded by the press. You aware of that?
I'm aware of that.
And are you aware that Mueller found that hours after he made that plea for Russian help, the Russians in fact tried to hack one of the email servers affiliated with the Clinton campaigner family?
If that happened, I'm not aware of that. I mean, it could very well.
You're not aware of that in the Mueller report? So when you say you're not aware of evidence of collusion in the Mueller report, it's because apparently haven't read the Mueller report very well.
Oh,
if you're not aware of that fact. But let me ask you about something else.
Sure.
Don Jr., when offered dirt as part of what was described as a Russian government effort to help the Trump campaign, said, if it's what you say, I love it.
I love it.
Would you call that an invitation to get Russian help with dirt on Hillary Clinton?
The words speak for themselves, I suppose.
I think they do.
I think they do. Check one.
Especially late in summer. Late in summer was around when the Russians started to dump the stolen emails, wasn't it?
Late in the summer, there was information that was disclosed by WikiLeaks in
right
mid
around
to
the
late
time
July.
of the
I think
DNC,
there
late
had been some in
July.
June, and then there was maybe some later in October, was it? I think, but I don't hold me to those dates.
Well, if I can't hold you to dates and facts, Durham, what was the whole last 4 years for? Didn't you do your homework? Didn't you, sort of study the notes before you showed up for the hearing? Or were you hoping to cast it a different direction? Let's hear more from Adam Schiff. I like how this is starting.
Oh, yeah.
You from the California congressman.
And this gets to the receipt of help. The second thing I mentioned, receiving Russian help. The dumping of those emails, by the way, just as forecast by what Papadopoulos told the Australian diplomat, that is that the Russians would help by leaking dirt anonymously through cutouts like WikiLeaks and DC Leaks.
I don't think that's exactly what he told the Australians, but.
Well, he said that he was informed that the Russians could help by anonymously releasing this information, right?
Release what?
By anonymously releasing information damaging to Hillary Clinton, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you read what's in the cable and what's in the report, as to what the diplomats reported was, there was a suggestion that the Russians could help. They had damaging information as to Mrs. Clinton. And they
were like
Trump getting boasted.
Right? And that's exactly what happened, isn't it?
I don't.
You really don't know?
I'm not sure exactly. When you say
really
exactly
don't
what
know?
happened,
well, the Russians released stolen emails through cutouts, did they not?
There were emails.
It's a very simple question. Did they release information?
Did they release the emails or not, Durham?
Yes or no?
Yeah, I'm not sure that.
You really don't know the answer to that? The answer is yes, they did. Through DC League's.
Well, in your mind, it's yes.
Well,
in your mind.
Mueller's answer was yes. More important than mine, Mueller's answer was yes.
In your mind, it's yes, Durham says. Oh, but Mueller said yes. Read the report, man. Mueller said yes.
Does this sound like a nonpartisan talking about? I mean, Adam Schiff is there not only defending his own reputation, but also the facts of the impeachment of Donald Trump, et cetera, et cetera. And Durham sitting there as the investigator, as the special counselor. Why is he so befuddled by these questions?
Well,
why is he not giving clear answers if it is indeed his directive to be nonpartisan? To follow the facts.
His scope is to investigate the genesis of apparently the unjustified investigation into Donald Trump, his campaign, his cohorts, and the Russians, right? That's his scope. That's what he's supposed to get to, right? And he didn't read the Mueller report. He doesn't know at least the facts that came out of the Mueller report. Well, of course he does. Of course
he had 4 years, Dom. He only had 4 years, you know?
Oh, man, if I had 4 more, I really would have got to it. I don't know if you know this, Crudy, but I'm really busy. I've been really busy. I need to get my pants out of the boxes and my golf stuff. Very busy man I am. Let's get back. Adam Schiff, today, just 2 more cuts from him and some other cuts as well coming up. Let's play cut number 3, if you would, please, Evan.
Now, that information, of course, was helpful to the Trump campaign, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question, but that the Russians intruded into,
I just want to
hacked into the systems, they released information.
And that was helpful to the Trump campaign, right?
And the conclusion in the ICA and in the Mueller investigation was that the Russians intended to assist.
Can you answer my question, Mr. Durham? That was helpful to the Trump campaign, right?
Yeah, that's
and Trump made use of that, as I said, didn't he, by touting those stolen documents on the campaign trail over 100 times?
I said, I don't really read the newspapers or listen to the
news.
I don't know that.
Mr. Durham, you're totally oblivious to Donald Trump's use of the stolen emails on the campaign trail more than 100 times? Did that escape your attention?
I am not aware of that.
Wow, what a credible special counselor. I don't read newspapers or anything else.
It's
I don't
very
actually
hard.
investigate
Is
anything.
he under oath? I think he's under oath. Like it's hard for me to believe that he didn't know these things. Come on.
Seems all squirmy, almost like he's a defendant in this, not the special counselor with the authority to prosecute, should he actually present evidence of any prosecutable offenses and gain conviction at trial. One more from Adam Schiff, the Trump campaign. They covered it up. Cut 4.
Are you aware of the final prong that I mentioned, that he lied about it, that the Trump campaign covered it up? It's the whole second volume of the Mueller report. I hope you're familiar with that.
Yeah, that's a section of the report, the second volume relating to what their obstruction of justice.
Well, thank you for confirming what my Republican colleague attacked me about. Now, he also criticizes the use of the word collusion, apparently giving private polling data to the Russians while the Russians are helping your campaign. They don't want to call collusion. Maybe there's a better name for it. Maybe they would prefer we just call it good old-fashioned GOP cheating with the enemy. Maybe that would be a little bit more accurate description.
Yeah.
Because this is what happened. Yeah. But they seem allergic to calling it for what it is. I yield back.
I yield back.
Old-fashioned cheating with the enemies. Call it what you want. That stuff happened. You just heard Durham say, and we got more of this coming up, so we can reinforce what went down.
But the Republican Party wants to, throw Adam Schiff out of the chambers for the very facts that he had the special counselor confirm under oath in a congressional hearing today. And that is what they have proposed, is the very rationale to throw Adam Schiff out. Were it not for 20 reasonable Republicans, meaning 90% of the Republicans were ready to throw him out. It was only 10% that said, slow down. Never slow down. Stick around. Devil's Advocates, your calls could be next. I see you, CJ. 844-96-PARTY.
From Ula Eyewear, as one of Madison's only local, independent, and family-owned eyewear stores, Ula has been connecting people with fun, unique, and stylish frames for nearly 25 years. With glasses, readers, and sunglasses for customers of all ages, you'll find a variety of frames to fit your style and price points to fit your lifestyle. So don't wait. Head to Ula Eyewear at Hillville Shopping Center and find your pair of glasses. Ula Eyewear, uniquely you.
Weather in a Moment is brought to you by Chad's Design Build, building a better world, one remodeled home at a time. Reach out today by going to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more. Again, that's chadsdesignbuild.com.
This is the story of a very special woman. Just a few knew about her superpowers. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You are listening to your local Civic Media radio station on air. Thank you. Did you know we are always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app too? And if you miss a show or game, find it wherever you get your podcasts or on our website, civicmedia.us.
Here's your Mad Radio forecast. Clear skies tonight with lows around 61. East winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Sunny skies and calm again tomorrow. Highs level off around 88. Lows dip down to about 59. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Friday with daytime highs approaching 88. 92 Saturday. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 88 degrees.
This summer, Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX has a new starting lineup. At 3 p.m., The Matt McNeil Show. 4 to 6, The Devil's Advocates with Tom and Cruz on Mad Radio.
The Devil's Advocates know how to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and we're all out of bubblegum.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can join us on the phones at 844-967-2789. Be patient. We have a little more Durham sound we want to get out there for you folks. Durham testifying today. I believe it was the House Oversight
Is that what he
Committee
was doing? Because that was a pretty weak effort.
It's
I mean,
weak.
if your goal is to just answer truthfully and honestly and present the facts to the American people, why are you so evasive in the way you're answering the questions, Durham? Those weren't straightforward answers. I mean, you should be able to take the peppering from both sides of the aisle, right? You're an experienced former U.S. attorney, special counselor. You were appointed by the Attorney General to get to the bottom of the facts, and you barely know what's in the Mueller report. You don't read the newspaper. What would you say you did around here?
Spend a bunch of money, spend like 4 years and bounce around the country, man. Jerry Nadler also engaging. We have one cut from him. Let's jump down to cut number 7, if you would, please, Evan.
Our report should not be read to suggest in any way that Russian election interference was not a significant threat. It was.
That was Durham. That was cut number 5, I believe. That was Durham.
Okay, fair enough. But let me check that back. Okay, so now that we'll come up on 7, but play 5 again. This is Durham. And I think it's worth at least playing twice. So thank you, Evan. Let's do cut number 5 again.
Our report should not be read to suggest in any way that Russian election interference was not a significant threat. It was.
Oh, okay. Let's do one more. Cut 6. We'll stay on Durham. Cut 6.
This is not an easy fix. I mean, it's going to take time to rebuild the public's confidence in the institution.
Mostly because guys like Durham and the Republican Party have been undermining the public's confidence. You know, the supposed law and order party sure as hell doesn't like when the law and order starts coming down against their Cheeto Messiah.
Here is Jerry Nadler and Durham. This exchange, cut 7, please.
You did not dispute that Trump ordered an influence campaign to influence the 2016 election in your report, did you?
As I said, there was a real
yes or
Russian
no?
threat.
No. Okay. Special Counsel Mueller indicted 12 Russian intelligence officers in July 2018. Isn't that right?
Correct.
The 12 intelligence officers were indicted for attacking the Clinton campaign.
That must be the end of the cut. 844. And the answer is yes.
Yes.
There are a lot more convictions than that. And I'd make a little note. They talked about Papadopoulos. Little local note. He served his time in Oxford State Federal Prison right here in Wisconsin.
He's Wisconsin famous.
844-967-2789. Well, CJ, we promised you coverage of Durham. What a nothing burger your guy laid out there.
Well, note, guys, you didn't cover it like you did the Mueller report, gavel to gavel. You're just pulling little snippets.
Okay, address the snippets. Address what everybody heard, CJ. You heard Durham say it. Talk about what Durham said.
So how about the fact that he proved that Mueller's $30 million, 2.5-year pencil neck censored, getting ready to thrown out of Congress.
Okay, lost me already, man, because all of the accusations against Adam Schiff were disputed by the testimony of your guy, John Durham. And in fact, Adam Schiff, if you listened and you were online, dude, I saw you. If you listened to the facts and the words that came out of his mouth, each of the point of contention that the Republicans have thrown at Adam Schiff were refuted by the testimony of John Durham. So, do your homework, you moron. 844-967. Of course, he listened to it. He's not dumb. He's just blissfully trolling. 844-967-2789.
That's their religion now. They don't go to church on Sundays, Curdy. They troll for a living. That's what it's all about. Hey, Mark, from the SAC, you're up. Welcome. What do you got?
Sorry, man. Sorry to carry over that bad will from CJ.
Not a problem, brothers. I think what CJ is trying to maintain is that they never should have done the investigation in the first place. What CJ doesn't understand, when you get a clue that something's going on, that on something like that, you get a little bit of evidence here, and your responsibility is to investigate what the hell is going on. I don't know a lot about the law enforcement community. I know a little bit, but when I was an auditor, you get a clue that something was untoward had happened during, say, the bidding process on a contract. I had to investigate what was good, if they actually followed through and followed state bidding law. I mean, there had one case where a public works director said, we just split our contracts up between two. There's just two asphaltic pavement contractors in this community, so that's all we bring into the process. Well, something like that makes me read the old thing when I heard about the old corruption back in the Tammany Hall days.
Right.
I go and crack open a phone book, and there's at least 6 asphaltic pavement contractors in that community, and they didn't follow state bidding law. I mean, when you have a responsibility, as our FBI did, you hear rumors and allegations that something's going on here, you have a responsibility to actually open an investigation.
I agree with you, Mark, and I would say this to CJ and all those that say, well, there never should have been an investigation, fruit of the poison tree and all those sort of legal mumbo jumbo things, because you're not a lawyer, CJ, but here's what I would say. Sure, but we still know he did it. You know what I mean? Now the facts have come to light. Perhaps at trial, that's some evidence that could be suppressed and taken out and never considered by a jury. Hell, you might throw out the whole case. But guess what? The public record, in the Mueller report, in all the subsequent public reporting, CJ, these are facts at this point. Your guy acknowledged the facts. All the stuff that you just threw at Adam Schiff were all refuted by the testimony of the guy you told us to cover today. Now we're going to turn our attention to
CJ.
Yeah, thanks, CJ. Glad we got that nothing burger out there. Your guy failed miserably. He gave a Scott Walker-like performance, as you often do in the bedroom, I hear.
Oh, it's certainly on the phones. 844-967.
I meant on the phones, rhetorically.
CJ, sausage week.
WMDX has a new starting lineup. At 10, as goes Wisconsin. Then at noon, Civic Media Network News. On Mad Radio, 92.7 WMDX.
ABC News, I'm Andy Field. The co-founder and board chair of Horizon Maritime, which owns the boat that took the Titanic submersible out to the North Atlantic, saying he is hopeful of 5 people on board the missing vessel will be brought home.
The marine industry in this region is no stranger to responding to difficult incidents. We work together to ensure every possible effort is put into bringing people home.
Coast Guard says it's searching in an area where noises were heard. Massachusetts Air National Guard member Jack Texera entering a not guilty plea to charges he's accused of leaking classified military documents online. Federal Trade Commission filing suit against Amazon, alleging it's easy to sign up for Prime but difficult to cancel. Neil Chilson is the FTC's former chief technologist and a senior research fellow at the Center for Growth and Opportunity.
What the FTC is saying is that process of 5 or 6 clicks to cancel your annual Prime subscription is onerous enough that customers don't take it.
This is ABC News.
News is brought to you by Gingras Thompson & Walks, a statewide team of personal injury lawyers getting you the justice you deserve. Call 855-954-1186 for a free consultation.
For Civic Media News, I'm Terry Bell. Here's what you need to know in south central Wisconsin. They're cleaning up after a small plane crashed in Wanakee this afternoon. It went down on Kingston Way between Creek Edge Court and Knightsbridge Road. It looks like it crashed into the back of a minivan, a few other cars, and a sign. As of mid-afternoon, Dane County Dispatch said it was not aware of any injuries. Temperatures across Wisconsin are expected in the 90s for the next few days. Doctors and nurses are urging people to know the symptoms for heat exhaustion. That's when your body can't control its temperature. It usually helps to go indoors or in the shade and have a cool drink of water. Heat stroke is more serious. It's a medical emergency when your body suddenly stops sweating. I'm Terry Bell, and this is Civic Media News.
The law firm of Gingras, Thompson & Walks has a track record of making life-changing positive differences for their clients. $5.25 million to a woman who suffered brain injuries and her husband passed away when struck by a drunk driver. $1 million to 3 different individuals injured by drunk drivers. $1 million settlement to a man injured in a motorcycle accident. Call Gingras, Thompson & Walks, 855-954-1186.
Calling to win, Gingras, Thompson & Walks, GTWLawyers.com.
Hey folks, Stephanie Miller here. As an enlightened progressive, you know how important it is to do business in accordance with your politics. That's why Solidarity Realty is my favorite real estate firm in Madison. Solidarity Realty is a local independent realty company that lives their values. They provide outstanding expertise and protect your best interests while building community and promoting sustainability and diversity. Vive la resistance! Find them today at solidarityrealty.com. And don't forget, tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Look up cheese curds, you'll find this basic definition. Wet pieces of curdled milk. Well, it should also include the word delicious. As we continue to celebrate June Dairy Month, do you know how much milk is needed to make 1 pound of cheese curds? 16 ounces, 64 ounces, or 160 ounces, 10 pounds of milk? The answer coming up.
It actually is a sound of freshness.
Rachel Kerr is talking about squeaky curds. She's with the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin and a bit of a cheese nerd.
Those elastic protein strands rub against the enamel of your teeth and create that characteristic sound.
The squeak turns stretchy when battered and deep fried. Some believe the idea to fry globs of cheese happened by accident. I consider it a happy accident. Okay, so did you guess it takes 10 pounds of milk to make 1 pound of curds? Now we want to know your favorite and where do you get your squeak?
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin Uprising, the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, rolling through a whopper of a Wednesday happy hour. Getting to the questionable ethics of Samuel Alito, Dom. This is the guy that authored the Dobbs decision. I have speculated aloud because I don't know the answer for sure, but I think he was the leaker of the Dobbs decision. I think he was trying to lock in the conservatives. I think he was trying to pressure them. So when he says, oh, you know, we'll never know, but I have my suspicions, I think he can look in the mirror and know for surezies. But that's just my speculation. Dom, here's some fine reporting. ProPublica did some fine reporting on Samuel Alito. And in fact, as fine journalists in ProPublica, this is the same group that did the reporting recently on Clarence Thomas and Jenny Thomas. And I would point out, they gave Alito an opportunity to answer questions for the piece they were going to publish. And they asked him to answer by Tuesday. Give him a timeline. You know, we're going to publication, but here are questions we would have for you, sir. And he preemptively ran off, didn't answer ProPublica's questions, but preemptively made a defense through the editorial pages of the Wall Street Journal. We're going to pick it up, the Post coverage, sort of these rival networks providing differing coverage. ProPublica asked about Alito's travel. He replied in the Wall Street Journal. Question about an undisclosed fishing trip hosted by a GOP billionaire. The Supreme Court justice instead shared his rebuttal in a rival media outlet before the investigative journalists could publish their scoop. Robert Barnes, Paul Farhi at the Washington Post. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito Jr. took issue with questions raised by the investigative journalism outlet ProPublica about his travel with a politically active billionaire. And on Tuesday evening, he outlined his defense in an op-ed published by the Wall Street Journal. Yet Alito was responding to a news story that ProPublica hadn't yet published.
I mean, literally getting out in front of it.
Alito's journal column, bluntly headlined, ProPublica misleads its readers, was an unusual public venture by a Supreme Court justice into the highly opinionated realm of newspaper editorial page. And it drew criticism late Tuesday for effectively leaking elements of ProPublica's still in progress journalism with the assistance of the journal's editorial page editors. Now, an editor's note at the top of Alito's column said ProPublica reporters Justin Elliott and Josh Kaplan had sent questions to Alito last week and asked for a response by Tuesday at noon. The editor's note doesn't mention that ProPublica hadn't yet published its story, nor does it mention that Alito did not provide his answers directly to ProPublica. That's the way it's normally done. If a journalist has the courtesy of offering you a prior response before publication, most people take the opportunity to, put their statement out there. He went to a rival publication and wrote an op-ed. Now, a spokesperson for the Wall Street Journal, whose editorial page operates independently from its newsroom, didn't respond to the post.
Yeah, they put something out ahead of time too. I mean, they're part of it just as much as Alito.
Oh, they're much worse. I mean, they work in the industry. But anyways, ProPublica published its story on Alito just before midnight on Tuesday, about 5 hours after the Journal published Alito's column, his pre-buttal, right? Sort of like Bill Barr did with the Mueller report.
Exactly.
The article details the conservative justice's relationship with billionaire hedge fund manager Paul Singer. And Dom, we've talked about that name enough. It's stuck in your head. Paul Singer was a Scott Walker backer. Remember when Scott Walker was running for president?
I sure do.
Oh, he was the belle of the ball there for a while. And there was a guy, Paul Singer, and he owns the Washington Free Beacon. He started doing Oppo
funder.
research.
Yes, on
Oppo
Republicans.
research, purposefully looking for the dirt on Donald Trump and supposedly others, but started with Trump. Well, eventually, Wanker dropped out of the race really quickly, and Singer moved on to Marco Rubio, and then Rubio dropped out. And eventually, Singer just, hedged his bets and said, I'm done. I'm done paying for this investigation.
Now, he engaged, if I recall,
GPS.
Fusion GPS to do that research, correct?
He did. We've
Yes.
heard a lot about that. That was what? The precursor to the Steele report and the investigation that turned into what? The Mueller report. It all has ties back to Paul Singer. He funded this. Really, it was supposed to be for the benefit of candidate Scott Walker. But Walker was such a failure, and then Rubio after that, that Singer just got on the Trump bandwagon eventually. That's my memory of it. But back to this article, Dom. Now that you know who Paul Singer is, he went with billionaire hedge fund manager Paul Singer, including their trip to an Alaskan fishing resort in 2008. According to this story, the ProPublica story, Singer, whose hedge fund subsequently came before the court 10 times.
Oh, 10 times.
Involving business disputes, 10 times before the U.S. Supreme Court. That's a lot of times for one corporate interest. But let me read on. He, the litigant before the court 10 times, flew Alito to a resort on his private jet. A trip ProPublica reported would have cost Alito more than $100,000 each way if he had chartered the jet on his own. And Alito, who wrote the landmark Dobbs decision that he probably also leaked, Rudy speculates, but the author writes the Dobbs decision that struck down federal abortion rights last year. Well, Dom, he didn't list the trip on his financial disclosure forms, an omission that some ethics experts say could violate federal law. So the pre-buttal is a legal defense, pre-buttal, theoretically, Dom. And the article...
Oh, go ahead.
Well, just a paragraph more. The article noted the role of the conservative judicial activist Leonard Leo in organizing the Alaska trip, including Paul Singer, including your boy Samuel Alito. Okay, says, including Singer, to fly Alito to the lodge, the longtime head of the Federalist Society. Leo helped Alito win confirmation to the Supreme Court. And oh, yeah, that Paul Singer guy, as well as the lodge's owners, well, they are major donors to the Federalist Society. Dom, the Federalist Society supplied Kavanaugh, supplied Amy Coney Barrett, supplied Gorsuch, supplied Alito. And who's the one that passed? RBG's buddy. We'll come back.
That one. We'll think about it. I'll continue on. The story carried the bylines of Kaplan Elliott and a third ProPublica reporter, Alex Majerski, the same team that reported the Blockbuster story in April, detailing years of luxury tips taken by Justice Clarence Thomas with his wife Ginny and paid for by billionaire Harlan Crow, who also paid for Thomas's grandnephew's private school tuition. But that's, you regular poor people, you don't need to worry about any of that. Trust them. Trust them. As the Washington Post continues, those disclosures and others, the Post reported last month that Leo arranged for Ginny Thomas to be paid tens of thousands of dollars for consulting work just over a decade ago, specifying that her name be left off the billing paperwork, have led some Democrats in Congress to call for Clarence Thomas to resign and others to call for stricter ethics standards specific to the Supreme Court. Chief Justice John G. Roberts Jr. has resisted congressional efforts on that front, but recently acknowledged the controversy. Is that what it is? Here's what Roberts said when accepting an award last month from the American Law Institute. Maybe you should take an award from the American Get Your Buddy on the Rich Guy's Plane and Go Party Institute. Here's what he said. I want to assure people that I'm committed to making certain that we as a court adhere to the highest standards of conduct. We are continuing to look at things we can do to give practical effect to that commitment. I don't know. How about when you're getting $100,000 plane rides each way, you tell people, especially when they come before your court 10 times?
Or maybe recuse. Wouldn't that be the actual ethical thing to do? Recuse on those cases?
Certainly. You wouldn't have to worry about it.
From my understanding, he did recuse. And go ahead, Don.
A little bit more here. The justices for years have been considering an ethics plan without being able to come to agreement. In his journal column, Alito accurately anticipated the thrust of ProPublica's not yet published article. Well, no doubt they gave you questions to answer for their article, and you go write an op-ed? What? He denied he had a conflict in accepting Singer's hospitality or was obliged to disclose the 2008 trip. Neither charge is valid, the justice wrote preemptively. He asserted that Singer was merely an acquaintance with whom he spoke only fleetingly during the fishing trip and said he was not aware of Singer's connection to any subsequent court matter. Yes, I know nothing. I know nothing. Alito said he accepted the offer of the seat on Singer's plane because it would otherwise have been unoccupied. Unoccupied. A commercial flight, he wrote, would have imposed costs on taxpayers who would have had to pay for the deputy U.S. Marshals to provide security to Supreme Court justices to fly with him. I mean, Crudy, the seat was empty. Hey, take the car, Crudy. It's just sitting there anyway. No one's going to drive it. You may as well. In fact, here, take this bag of cash. I'm not using it. No one's using it. You just here. It's fine. I'm just a friend or a wannabe friend.
You know, the Supreme Court justice I couldn't recall, and normally it's you with the memory.
Scalia.
It is Scalia because we had like 5 texters. We got everything from Scalia to Fat Tony to Anton Scalia. Thank you. Many.
Yes,
they've all got the new app. They're texting us. It's much more convenient, my understanding. 2789. You go.
Just a bit more here. We'll get to the phones.
Smidge,
just a smidge. Alito also disputed ProPublica's apparent characterization of the fishing resort, calling it misleading. I stayed 3 nights in a modest 1-room unit at the King Salmon Lodge, a comfortable but rustic facility with home-style meals, he wrote, adding, I cannot recall if we were served wine, but if there was, it was certainly not wine that cost $1,000. He said he did not disclose the flight in his annual disclosure form because the rules at the time were vague. I followed what I understood to be standard practice.
You know, the suite at the King Salmon Lodge is $670 per night. That doesn't sound very modest to me.
Oh, when you're rolling with billionaires, $600 a night is probably pretty modest. You know what I'm saying?
$670 a night. A little modest.
Yeah, no, I mean, the wine wasn't $1,000. It may have been like $100, $500 bottle. It wasn't certainly worth $1,000.
You know, nothing to disclose about. You know, the other interesting part, Tom, both Alito and Thomas have sought extensions on their financial disclosures, which are just a skosh more thorough this year, or necessitate a skosh more thoroughness. So they need more time. I mean, I've extended on my taxes before, Dom, and I know Trump's been audited a lot. This seems a little fishy to me.
Well, Crudy, that's not the only thing that makes those two similar. His defense was similar, as the Washington Post reports, to Thomas when ProPublica first reported his luxury trip. Early in my tenure, Thomas said, I sought guidance from my colleagues and others in the judiciary and was advised that this sort of personal hospitality from close personal friends who did not have business before the court was not reportable. Federal law mandates that top officials from the three branches of government, including the Supreme Court, file annual forms detailing their finances, outside incomes, and spouses' sources of income, with each branch determining its own reporting standards. Judges are prohibited from accepting gifts from anyone with business before the court. And the dude, Singer and his organizations were before the court 10 times, but apparently Alito, he didn't know. I don't know. I know nothing. Until recently, however, the judicial branch had not clearly defined an exception for gifts considered personal hospitality. That's some hospitality, man. I mean, we got some good friends in the audience and people take care of us, our sponsors, our friends, but man, well, never gave me $100,000 plane ride.
Few loose joints.
That's even better.
They make you feel like $100? 844-967-2789. Your calls could be next. We'll be right back.
Celebrate all things art, beer, and community with Working Draft Beer. Established in 2018, brew award-winning European-style lagers, fresh hop-forward American IPAs, and much more. Located in the heart of Madison's East Side and open 7 days a week at 1129 Wilson Street. For more information and to find out what's on tap, go to WorkingDraftBeer.com. That's WorkingDraftBeer.com. Or check them out on Facebook and Instagram at Working Draft Beer.
All Things BS Inc. Bring out the beauty from within. Schedule a consultation and feel confident walking in and out of your appointment. A Hollywood finishing touch is included with every service. Get ready to walk around with a big smile and make an appointment today at allthingsbsinc.com, located off of Mineral Point Road.
Weather in a Moment is brought to you by Chad's Design Build, building a better world one remodeled home at a time. Reach out today by going to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more. Again, that's chadsdesignbuild.com.
This is the story of a very special woman. Just a few knew about her superpowers. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Here's your Mad Radio forecast. Lows dip down to about 61 tonight. Under clear skies, winds out of the east, 5 to 10 miles an hour. Clear skies again tomorrow, highs around 88. Lows level off around 59 tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times Friday, with daytime highs approaching 88. 92 Saturday. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 88 degrees.
This summer, Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX has a new starting lineup. 12:15 Town Call. 1 p.m. The Todd Alba Show on Mad Radio.
The
the Devil's Advocates. Never personal, only politics.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Our last segment of the day. Call us up 844-967-2789. Stick around, Maggie Dawn. The Maggie Dawn show coming up next.
You know, I've been doing my own investigative reporting.
Yeah.
I'm looking into the Alaska King Salmon Lodge. I was looking for the price point for a 3-night stay. But first, you would have to find availability. I've been checking. I'm into November. You can't find a room from here to November.
I bet Paul Singer could get a room.
It's almost like you would have to know somebody. You know what I mean? It's almost like you'd have to have a friend on the inside. Like, it's kind of a big deal to stay there. The only price I saw represented was $673 per night. And you can't get a room from here to November. So this rustic little cabin is more like
modest
a
one room.
enclave.
It's a modest one room.
Yeah, sort of like the Palace of Versailles is a modest little summer home. 844-967-2789. Jake from Milwaukee. Welcome, Jake.
Hey, Jake.
Hey. So I have a background in science, and I do a lot of analysis of numbers and just, other things. And I think the scientific term for Alito is he's just a dick. I mean, I would almost
I'm not
think
sure that's scientific.
That's more of an opinion assessment.
Okay. But it's just like, I mean, him actually doing this preemptive thing with the Washington Post, he just made it worse for himself. Because now that's like entertainment value kind of stuff. So it's just going to go longer. I just, love how they do this stuff to themselves.
But Jake, given an opportunity, if someone was going to trash me in the paper, and I'm probably guilty of failing to make disclosure and perhaps even breaking federal law, and they asked me some questions, and I'm like, oh man, I don't like the tone of this. If I could run out and preemptively chop that story off at the knees, take some of the wind out of the sails, the shareability by telling them, well, this is a false report before it published, let's say a la Bill Barr. I mean, Jake, this was masterful on Alito's part, but the ethics of
I'm with you, Jake. Why don't you think so, Jake?
Well, I think because ProPublica is going to start investigating in the Washington Post now.
Well, it's not actually the Post, it's the Wall Street Journal. We were reading coverage from the Post as the Post looked at the actual journalism of ProPublica and the unethical response, unethical according to journalistic standards. I mean, you don't scoop another paper and give a guy an op-ed in your paper. Maybe after it's published, you give them a response place.
I mean, that's how it was back in the good old days, man. But the old world is dead.
There is actually coverage from the, the journalistic integrity board, whatever, you don't do that. You really don't. I mean, just like there's supposed to be ethics, you're supposed to recuse if some rich guy takes you on a fishing trip to a place you can't even get into, puts you on a private jet, sticks you in a $673 a night room, and then appears before the court 10 times. Well, the ethics of your profession would suggest you recuse. Much like the ethics of the journalistic profession would suggest the Wall Street Journal would not provide this platform. But what do I know? I'm just a radio guy. I just try to be fair out here on the radio, Dom. But what's fair got to do with it? Or
what's love got to do with it, Curdy? 844-967-2789. Rico, Rock County, you're next. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, loving every minute of it. Listening to you guys on my smartphone here. I got my nice new shiny app. It's cool.
All right.
Oh, I'm loving it.
Are you texting at us? Were you one of the Alito? Did you give us the answer?
No. I'm not much of a texter. No, I like to listen.
I mean, Scalia. Now, he still can't keep it straight.
No, I just was wanted to call in because earlier it just, I didn't care so much about Durham report. I just wanted to see how CJ was going to react.
Badly.
And Crudy, yeah, I like the way you handled that, but I do give you kudos. You knocked it out of the park. I was just like waiting for the bite, right? No, I do want to give mention to Earl this morning because he took an opposite approach. Gave CJ all the rope in the world that he. And his true colors came out and kind of reminded me why we voted him D-bag of the year. Because his true colors came out today. My boy CJ, take it from Rico. You're nothing more than a racist and a bigot. And it was clear today. For those of you who haven't heard it, go listen. And those of you who haven't heard it yet, go listen. And those of you who did hear it know exactly what I mean. That's all I got to say, guys. It's pretty simple. It doesn't take much of investigation.
Well, more effort than many of these Republicans are willing to put forth.
More effort than John Durham put on the Durham report.
Or doing the research or reading the paper or maybe the Mueller report. Hey, CJ, I know you were invoked, but we're still not taking your calls. 844-967-2789. Tom from McFarland. Welcome back, Tom. What do you got for us?
Hello, Tom.
Well, this whole thing with the Supreme Court, I don't understand why the Democrats are putting up with this and not making it a campaign issue. The Constitution is clear that Congress gets to decide what the court looks like, including qualifications, et cetera, et cetera. The Supreme Court has ruled repeatedly that they just cannot police themselves. They do not want to police themselves. In fact, Roberts has said we don't need to have a quote-unquote ethics boundary. We're good as things are. And it's things like this that demonstrate that that is not the case.
Right.
I think that it's time that Congress steps in and tell the Supreme Court, no, you're going to have some boundaries. You're going to have some limits. And you might not like it, but guess what? The Constitution, which Republicans are all about, says we get to tell you what it is that you can do and what it is that you can't do. Serving on the court is a privilege. It shouldn't be this. We're basically not a form of government where judges are the supreme law. It doesn't work that way. It's the Constitution that's the supreme law. And I think it's time the Democrats start doing something about that.
Well, Tom, then we need legislative majorities that could actually cast change upon it. We've got to, overcome the cinemas in the Joe Manchin. Hell, Joe Manchin might go run for president, third party, just to screw up the country and reelect Donald Trump. Thank you all for listening. I'll end on that shining
Thanks,
summer
Rudy.
note. Joe Manchin could destroy our planet.
Well, today is the first day of summer. Happy summer, everybody.
At least we got this last summer to enjoy. Stick around. Maggie Dodd, we welcome her back. And the Empowered Caregivers at 7. Rick Smith at 8. Keep it locked. Civic Media. And don't forget, Native Roots Radio. Thank you, Robert Pilot. 10 to 11 right here on the Civic Media Network.
Your favorite tools and treasure for blissful living. Now with 2 locations. 2717 East Washington